everybody. I'm excited to be joined today by Rhonda Bompensa-Zimmerman. Rhonda is Director of Fitness and Wellness at Global Trance, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know Rhonda during the last year, and she's one of the most caring and positive people that I know in the world of supply chain, and so I've really enjoyed getting to know her, and I also really appreciate her continued support of All Truckers Together Against Child Abuse. And you're actually involved in a foster care program as well, right?
Yeah, so thanks for having me, first of all. I have to say, I found you kind of by accident during the pandemic on What the Truck. So you were talking about Attica, and speaking of the Foster Care Review Board, that caught my attention right away. So just thought I would throw that out there. When I moved to Arizona, I had always done volunteer work, and I kept seeing the need for some volunteers to join the Foster Care Review Board here in Arizona. So I thought, what a great opportunity. I came from a dysfunctional home, and I thought that would be a good way to give back and share some of my perspective with parents that are in a position of potentially losing their children, and make recommendations, and then also look out, obviously, for the safety of the children. So I've been doing that for 2 years, and it's near and dear to my heart. And it's just a wonderful cause. Anytime you can do anything with children to help make their living environment a better place, I'm all in.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And you also recently told me that you really enjoy getting lost, and it's a special talent you have. So I hope you have a really good GPS tool in your kit.
So it's funny, and now in the logistics business, I'm disclosing this. One of the neat things I found when I moved to Arizona was in Mesa, which is not where I live. Everything was like a block grid. So for some of us who are directionally challenged, I knew where everything was, right, left, forward, backwards, north, south, east, west. But thank God for GPS, because I would get lost. Luckily, I haven't gotten myself into any tricky situations, but I sometimes will do it purposely, though, because sometimes if you drive on the same road all the time, it's kind of boring, and you miss your community or discovering a certain community. So sometimes I do it on purpose, but yeah, I do have a talent for getting lost.
And you also mentioned that you've moved 36 times. What was that like?
I have. So my girlfriend, who just happens to live in Arizona, my best friend, she and I are like neck and neck on this. So a lot of it is just, I was married to someone who was a coach, and every time he, was looking for the next job, we had to get up and go. And then there were some situations where when I was by myself, I was not in a good space or job or whatever, taking my daughter or needed to be closer to somewhere else. I just would get up and move. But when I was in Washington, D.C., it was one of those things where rent was really expensive. So a lot of us were like every year moving just because the rent was so high. So, and then I think I'm settled. My husband and I bought a house here just over a year now. We're living here, getting it set for our retirement one day, which probably won't be until we're like 100. So
I bet you don't want to move anytime soon.
No, I've learned to be a quick mover. Let's put it that way, and live like a minimalist. There's something to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, moving is tough.
It's stressful.
Yeah, so I think I've moved about 15 times in my life, and that's more than enough.
I'll tell you my most interesting move was from Washington, D.C. to Arizona. I loaded up my little Mini Cooper. I also had like a little pod that, I shipped across country by itself, but I drove myself across country, and it was beautiful. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Respect for all the truckers out there.
And you got to see some really cool stuff along the way.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, there's so much country, like unpopulated land to see. Really, I kind of wish when I was younger we were exposed to some traveling. We really didn't travel much, and I appreciate any opportunity I have to explore, get lost, travel, meet and greet, and just live in different demographic locations. I think it's a great educational opportunity, and it helps us all appreciate each other's diversity and all that good stuff and culture.
Yeah. So you went from Washington D.C. to Arizona, did you say?
Yes,
So you saw a lot of different terrain between there to
I
there.
did.
Oh,
And I remember a couple times just pulling over just in shock, like the big windmills and just the amount of open space. It was just beautiful, breathtaking. I have to say, as a fitness person though, I did plan it out ahead of time where I had all my little stops for all the little Planet Fitnesses I would stop at because I can't sit too long. I get kind of sleepy, plus a little irritable. I used to get in trouble in school all the time for getting out of my seat, so
yeah.
still an issue now. But it was I highly recommend it. Just taking a week or whatever it is for anybody who hasn't had that experience to travel across country.
Absolutely. You know, and I saw you recently on the Freight Waves at Home segment, and I enjoyed that. What got you into the wellness and fitness area?
Well, it's kind of a funny story, not really funny, but I was a single mom, had my daughter when I was 19 years old, and it wasn't particularly the best situation with her father. So, as a single mom, I just felt it was really important to learn some self defense. And as a kid in school, I participated in some phys ed classes, but I wasn't like particularly a jock or like great, but I was, an average Joe, an average Jane. And so I joined this gym and I wanted to learn, just how to take care of myself, become stronger. Really, I was out of shape. I never really ever exercised never really exercised regularly. And I was looking at this group exercise class, and the girls were doing. It was mostly girls back then, doing all this like kickboxing moves, and so I'm like, oh, I want to try that. And this big guy trainer comes up behind me, and he tells me, young lady, you can't enter there yet. You gotta lose some weight and get in shape. I was mortified.
Oh,
So Oreo cookies is like one of my loves. So I went home, ate a whole package of Oreo cookies, sobbed my eyes out, talked to my sister, called her up. I'm like, can you believe this guy said this to me? And then I went back and took the class. Had such a good time. I was in the back of the room with all the big clothes. I didn't want anybody to pay attention to me. So that just became a regular thing. And then I was a real chatty gal. I'm still kind of like that, believe it or not. I was all the way in the back of the room and kept taking these classes, getting myself in shape. And I don't remember, Andy, how long it was before this happened, this life changing event for me, anyway. The owner of the gym came up to me one day before the class started, and he's like, Rhonda, can you do me a favor? And I didn't really know him. He's like, Kathy's running late. You always take her classes. We always see you in here. I don't know, maybe it was a year. I'm just taking a guess there. He's like, can you go to the front of the class and warm everybody up? And I'm like, oh, no, Chris, I don't know what I'm doing. And then he like held $20 in front of my face, and as a single mom, I'm like, challenge accepted.
that'll do it.
And he's like, it's only going to be for a couple minutes. She's parking her car. Not true, Pinocchio. So it was like 10 minutes. So I'm mimicking her completely because that's all I knew at the time. I'm doing my little grapevines, yada, yada, yada. So it's like 10 minutes in, I'm sweating profusely just from the nerves, getting stuttered with my speaking, which still happens today. And then she shows up. Long story short, which I'm really bad at, she said to me, hey, thank you so much. You should consider maybe becoming an instructor. You get paid to exercise. I mean, who can turn that down?
Right.
So I'm still good friends with Kathy and the girls at the gym. And when I go home, I'll sometimes teach a class for them. Last time I went home, COVID was just about hitting. And there were some issues, so I couldn't. But yeah, they become some of my greatest friends. And that's what started my whole career. This guy, he told me I couldn't do it.
Hey, if somebody would pay me to work out, I might work out more than I do right now. That's for sure. Well, what is some of the latest news about global trends that people should know?
Honestly, since the pandemic, I've learned so much about what our wonderful team does. Since COVID hit and e-commerce is booming, some of the new things, I think most people know, we've gotten to the pop-up fleets, final mile, which was something I don't think that we did in the past. What's coming up, we have an agent conference coming up. I just signed up for today. Anybody can take a look at my site or our team's site, Global Trans, and sign up for the event. That's January 12th. With the pandemic and the vaccine rolling out, we are anticipating just some disruptions. So we're preparing for that. And if people are looking for another partner to help them with their distribution needs, reach out to us. But on the wellness side, we've been doing a lot of team activities. Again, I try to showcase that as much as I can, because we really do value each other, and we all play a significant role, no matter what it is. So we all feel valued, and it's just a great environment. It's a great place to work. I feel very fortunate and grateful this year.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to put on the screen your contact details for LinkedIn and your email. So on the final video, we'll have the email and the LinkedIn profile there. Certainly really appreciate you coming on with me today, Rhonda. It's great connecting with you, and I love what you're doing and your positivity. I just love it. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Andy. Thank you. Enjoyed our time together.
Thank you for joining me.